Hello, this is Ali with Powerline Reporting. Thanks for taking a minute to check out this quick update on the IKE to PLS integration. And in this video, we're going to take a closer look at how the integration assigns set numbers. There are two components to this equation. The first is a definition that you make within the IKE form, and the second is a definition that's made within the integration. So let's start off with the IKE form, and then we'll take a look at the integration definition, and then we'll take a look at an example that shows some of the features. So here we have a structure with transmission, distribution, as well as communication. So if we take a look at the form, and specifically if we look at the span and then look at the arms and insulators, we'll notice this wire type. So this is the definition that's required within the IKE form to make the connection. So the wire type can take one of the following values: transmission, distribution, communication, surfaces, span guide, and shield wire. So in this example, this arm here is a distribution arm, and then the insulators that we have, they're defined as transmission. Now we have just the way that this structure was modeled. We have two insulators, one modeling the left hand facing post insulators and one modeling the right hand. So don't let that throw you off. These two insulators just represent all three of these transmission insulators. But you'll just notice that they both have wire type of transmission. Now if we scroll down too, we'll also see that this structure does have a tap defined, and taps also have a wire type associated with them. And here we have a tap of it's a communication wire. So let's take a look now at the definition within the integration. So if we pull it up and if we go into settings, PLS-POLE, there's this section here, set number definition, and you'll see it mirrors the definition in IKE Office. So you have transmission, distribution, communication, surfaces, span guide, and shield wire text boxes. Now you notice there are two entries for each wire type. The first entry is the head span set numbers, and the second entry is the back span set numbers. Now the head span set numbers are required for each of the categories. The back span is optional, so if you leave the back span empty, the head span values that you have will be used for both ahead and back span wires. But the head span is not, it is mandatory. So if you try and leave it empty, it's gonna yell at you, tell you that you need to have that defined. So each category must define the head span set numbers. If you'd like to use the head span set numbers for both ahead and back spans, you can leave the back span empty. Otherwise, you are able then to define both the ahead and back span values. So with that, those two pieces of information, then when the integration is building out the PLS-POLE models, it'll come in. So example for this structure, it'll come in, it knows that these are transmission set numbers, so it's going to come in and find the lowest transmission set number and then use that in the model. It'll then come in for that distribution arm, find the lowest distribution set number available, and then use that in the model. And then same thing with the communication arm. So let's take a look at this PLS-CADD model just to show you that it is making that connection and it's pulling in the correct set numbers. So this is that same structure that we're looking at, and if we take a look at the set numbers, you can see we're starting off with set 1 phase 1, set 1 phase 2, set 1 phase 3 for the transmission. So that is pulling in from our transmission set number list. if you look at the distribution arm, it's starting off with set 7, and then it cycles through all the phases, set phase 1, 2, and 3, which is consistent with the distribution set number that we have defined. It's pulling out from the lowest distribution set number. And then that communication tap, it's pulling in set 40 phase 1, so consistent here with our communication headspan set number. So let's take a look now at something a little more complex. So down a few more structures, we have this is a structure that's it's a strain dead end structure. So it's going to have a head and backspan set numbers, and you can see here, if you look closely, the head span, or in the transmission, it has you can see like at this top level there's set 1 phase 1 and set 11 phase 1. So it's pulling both from the transmission head set numbers and the transmission backspan set numbers. And then if you look at the distribution, you see set 7 and set 17. So again, it's pulling from both the head and the backspan set numbers. And if you zoom in close enough, you can see the set numbers. So the set 1 phase 1, this is actually the backspan of this structure, and the head span is set 11 phase 1. So that if you take a look at the, if you're looking back now at our defined set numbers, you might think that this is the opposite of what it should be defined. But we have this option here: swap the head and backspan set numbers at dead end structures selected. And when that is selected, it will swap those so that you're at this structure. Now the head span will take the backspan set number values, and then the backspan will take the head span. So in this case, set 11 phase 1 is the head span, which on typical structures would be set 1. But since we have this selected and we're at this dead end structure, it's going to take the first backspan set number, which is set 11. And then for the backspan, the same logic applies. So we have set 1 coming out on the back. And then here's one more example. This is a terminal dead end structure, and you can see instead of these being defined as using the transmission backspan set number value, so instead of 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, 17.1, 17.2, 17.3, it's using that swap ahead and backspan set numbers option to report a more friendly and usable set number. Well, that is it for today's video. Thanks again for tuning in. If you found this useful, please subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to put out videos like this in the future. And if you have any other questions or want to get in touch, please feel free to send me an email, ali@powerlinereporting.com. That's ali@powerlinereporting.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day.